There is a strange way to become poorer while earning more. It begins when money stops being a tool and becomes a costume, a larger apartment, a newer car, a watch that must be noticed, a restaurant chosen less for the food than for the photograph. None of these purchases is automatically foolish, but together they can create a dangerous illusion, the appearance of wealth without the structure of wealth. In old Japan, merchants understood this danger long before credit cards or social media. They lived in a society where status was visible and reputation mattered. Yet many durable merchant households learned to separate what the world could see from what the family needed to preserve. They understood a principle that remains uncomfortable today. The more money you spend proving that you have money, the less money remains to make you secure. During the Edo period, merchants occupied an unusual position. They could become economically powerful while remaining socially beneath the samurai class. A merchant might control warehouses and trade networks, yet still be expected to show restraint in public life. This tension shaped a distinctive financial culture. Successful households often treated the family business as something larger than the desires of one generation. Income was not simply personal spending power. It was inventory, reserves, reputation, working capital, and protection against the next bad season. The merchant house had to survive the merchant. That changed the meaning of wealth. To appear rich was temporary. To remain solvent across decades was the real achievement. Merchant families kept careful records, controlled household expenses, and watched waste closely. Frugality was not merely a moral performance. It was a survival system. Fires, weak harvests, changing rules, and unpaid debts could destroy a business that looked prosperous but lacked reserves. So the wise merchant asked a different question, not, "What can I afford today?" but "What must remain intact tomorrow?" This is where ancient discipline meets modern financial psychology. Human beings measure themselves against others, often without realizing it. A person may feel satisfied with a modest home until a friend buys a larger one. A reliable car may suddenly feel inadequate when a colleague arrives in something more expensive. The object has not changed, the comparison has. Behavioral economics describes this as relative evaluation. We judge wealth not only by what we possess, but by what appears to surround us. That creates a trap. Visible consumption is easy to compare. Savings are invisible. Debt is invisible. Investments and emergency reserves are invisible. The patient decisions that create security leave almost no public signal. A luxury purchase can be seen in seconds. Compound growth may take years to become meaningful. The mind is naturally drawn toward the immediate reward. This is why looking rich can feel more satisfying than becoming financially strong. One delivers recognition now. The other demands silence, patience, and delayed gratification. And silence is difficult when the world is watching. The Edo merchant who protected the family reserve practiced a discipline similar to the samurai ideal of self-command. Not because merchants and warriors lived identical lives, but because both understood that uncontrolled desire weakens judgment. A sword was dangerous in unsteady hands. Money is no different. When spending becomes emotional, each purchase begins to serve a psychological need. It may signal success, soothe insecurity, reward exhaustion, or defend social status. The purchase is no longer judged by usefulness alone. It is judged by the feeling it creates. This is how people with rising incomes remain financially fragile. Their lifestyle expands at the same speed as their earnings. Every raise is absorbed by a better neighborhood, upgraded subscriptions, expensive habits, and higher monthly obligations. From the outside, life appears to improve. Internally, freedom may be shrinking. The important number is not always income. It is the distance between income and obligation. That distance is where resilience lives. A merchant family with modest personal expenses had room to endure a weak trading season. A modern household with controlled fixed costs has room to survive a job loss or downturn. The principle is the same. What you do not permanently commit gives you options later. This is opportunity cost. Every dollar spent has two prices. The first is the amount paid today. The second is everything that money can no longer become. Money used to impress strangers cannot also remain as an emergency reserve. It cannot reduce expensive debt, be invested, support a business idea, or protect you during a crisis. The visible object is only the first cost. The lost flexibility is the second. Modern consumer culture is built around hiding that second cost. Advertising rarely asks what a purchase replaces. It focuses on identity. Buy this, and you become refined, successful, important, desirable. The object is presented as evidence of the person you hope to be. But ancient merchant discipline points in the opposite direction. Identity should control spending. Spending should not manufacture identity. A financially disciplined person does not need every purchase to announce success. The evidence exists in private. Low obligations, patient investments, cash reserves, useful skills, and the ability to make decisions without panic. This is quiet wealth. It is not refusing every comfort. It is refusing to trade long-term strength for short-term applause. Minimalism, properly understood, is not the worship of emptiness. It is removing what competes with what matters. In money, that means separating true value from social display. The question is not whether something looks luxurious. The question is whether it strengthens or weakens the life around it. Most modern mistakes begin when people increase visible consumption before building invisible foundations. They upgrade the car before establishing reserves. They move into a more expensive home before securing long-term savings. They celebrate a raise by creating new monthly bills. They assume future income will continue uninterrupted. But the future has never made that promise. Edo merchants lived close to uncertainty. Their discipline was shaped by the knowledge that good seasons end. Modern economies are different, but uncertainty remains. Industries change, companies fail, health changes, markets decline. A person who looks wealthy but requires every paycheck to maintain the appearance is not financially independent. They are financially committed. The practical lesson is to build in the correct order. First, create stability. Keep enough liquidity for disruption. Reduce obligations that steal future choices. Separate emergency money from spending money. Avoid treating unused credit as income. Then create productive ownership. Invest consistently in a diversified, long-term way suited to your circumstances. Allow time, not excitement, to perform the heavy work. Compounding rewards, endurance more than appearance. Then control lifestyle growth. When income rises, do not automatically raise every expense with it. Let part of the increase improve your life, but let another part improve your freedom. A higher income should create a larger margin, not merely a more expensive version of the same dependence. Finally, examine the motive behind major purchases. Would you still want it if nobody knew you owned it? Would it still feel valuable without the logo, the photograph, or the reaction? Will it continue serving you after the excitement fades? These questions reveal whether you are buying utility or approval. The old merchant house survived because it remembered that wealth belonged partly to the future. The current generation was not the final owner. It was the temporary steward. That idea is the foundation of generational wealth. Money preserved today becomes options for people who do not yet exist. It can fund education, protect a family in crisis, create businesses, and prevent desperation from becoming inheritance. But this requires resisting the most seductive use of money, turning it into immediate proof. Real wealth often looks ordinary while it is being built. It looks like the car kept for another year, the home that does not stretch the budget, the raise that quietly increases investments, the purchase delayed until emotion has passed, the refusal to compete with people whose finances you cannot see. There is no applause for these decisions. That is why they are powerful. The person who must look rich becomes dependent on witnesses. The person building wealth becomes less dependent on everyone. This was the deeper lesson of merchant restraint. Wealth is not what passes through your hands. It is what remains under your control, what continues working when you are not performing, and what gives you the strength to choose calmly when others are forced to react. The poorest-looking decision may sometimes protect the richest future, and the most expensive thing you can buy may be the illusion that you have already arrived.